Hey guys, what's up? Caleb Downing here, and today I'm going to talk to you about the SCY and the sickle from Reap Weaponry. Let's get into it. Alright, so this is pretty cool. This is pretty interesting. Basically, what this is from Reap Weaponry. It's the company that makes this. This is a lower portion, like a chassis, kind of, that basically plugs onto a mil-spec lower receiver, and it turns it basically into a bullpup. Not basically, it turns it into a bullpup, where your fire control stays back here. Your actual trigger is back here in the lower receiver, right? And your magazine well is right here, okay? Your trigger that you pull is up here. So the trigger is in front of the operating system, the magazine back here. So it really is, it does turn your system, your regular AR system, into a bullpup, which is pretty cool. So this particular bullpup that we have set up here, this is a 12.5 inch upper, or 12 and a half inch, can't remember exactly, upper from Foxtrot Mike, right? They sent this out for me to look at and destroy and test and all this kind of stuff. It's been running pretty good. There's been a couple little issues with it, but we're working through it. But it's a side charging upper that fits on a mil-spec lower. All right, and the beauty of the Foxtrot Mike system is all internally, well, the operating system is all back here. There is no buffer tube is what I'm trying to say. It's like one of those bufferless systems, but it actually works pretty well. It actually does work pretty well. And so the benefit of the SCY is if you have one of these systems, and there's a couple companies that make them, but if you have one of these systems that has a bufferless upper for your AR, you don't have any buffer tube extension coming out here that you have to worry about. So you actually can butt this thing up, right, with their sickle. This is the sickle. It does not come with the SCY because they don't know what kind of system you got. You might need one of these. You may not need one of these. But this is a sickle. This is an add-on piece that goes to the back here, and it basically acts as your butt pad. And it makes this whole system very small. When you utilize all these pieces and components all together, it makes for a very, well, a bullpup. It makes for a bullpup. And one advantage of a bullpup would be if you have a 16-inch gun, you basically can delete that whole rear section if you have the right operating system, and you can significantly shorten up your firearm, okay? So if you had a 16-inch gun, like I said, this is a 12-inch. If you added 4 inches for your barrel, it's still very, very short, okay? Since this is a 12-inch gun, and we have a suppressor on here, this is about the length of a 16-inch gun, give or take, maybe a little bit, but it's suppressed. Okay, so the advantage of this system is it turns it into a bullpup. We've already said that 15 times. It's pretty plug and play. I will say that. There's a couple little things. You might have to shave a little material off one spot or the other. Getting this portion up here to line up, you basically have an M-lock section that goes down to the bottom of whatever handguard you're using, and that locks up, and that's where the front portion of the SCY connects to the upper receiver. The back portion here, this is all plugged in, and it's not going to accidentally fall out or anything like that. It does seem very secure. It seems like I'm running around in circles on this, but this whole system does seem very secure. Once you get it all figured out, it's kind of like you got to hold your teeth the right way and then use 3 hands or something. But once you've gotten it all together, I have not had a problem with anything working loose or anything not operating the way it's supposed to operate. All right, speaking of operating this guy, you still have your standard magazine release over here. This is not obstructed by anything. I would highly recommend, if you do get one of these, that you put in an ambi magazine release. That way, when you go to, you have a magazine, right? You can simply go up when you go to take the magazine out and depress the button with your thumb, so that your fire control hand doesn't have to leave the fire control area. You don't have to break your grip down or anything. So you can easily load it, push your bolt stop, bolt release, or unload if you need to do that. If you were left-handed, you wouldn't really have to worry about that because your magazine release is already over here on this side. So basically, let's shoot this thing real quick, kind of give you a look, see how it works. I'm going to wear Ear Pro anyway because you do have an ejection port right here. So that port pop that you're going to get, even when the gun is suppressed, it's going to be louder because it's very close to your face. That's one downside of a bullpup. That's just how the system works. All right, so let's shoot this. little gassy. There's a lot of gas right there by your face. We are over-gassed. Looks like it slightly. There you go. Hold open right there. Is my face all black? Probably. Hard to tell. You can feel a lot of that junk coming back. Doesn't seem that bad. I'm gonna bust loose one of these and see how the sound actually is. Nope. That's still pretty spicy. Maybe with the system all being so close up to you, I still wouldn't shoot this guy without ear pro. You need some kind of ear pro on. I would say especially since you got the ejection port right by your ear. Wear some ear pro. Wow, that's one way to clear your sinuses. Again, I can't tell. I need to look at my face. No, it's not really splattering me. I figured it'd be splattering me because you can really feel that gas and stuff coming back at you because you're right there by the ejection port. But it's not bad. It's really not bad. Not terrible. And I'm trying to think, the recoil, I don't know. It's almost like shooting an AR-9. That's the closest thing I can equate it to, is like an AR-9. There you go. Last round held open. Worked fine that time. So even the trigger pull, when I'm pulling that trigger and working everything, I'm not even noticing that it's a different kind of trigger. You know, I have no problem pulling, you know, follow-up shots, all that kind of stuff. If I'm trying to be really precise, which we're gonna put it on paper, let's do that. I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. I really don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. I've heard, because this is the only bullpup I've ever personally shot, but I've heard that a lot of other bullpups, they have notorious triggers because it's that long bar, it's like a long action bar that pushes back. And so if it gets caught on stuff, it gets kitschy, it gets a gritty, nasty trigger. I'm not noticing that on this guy, but we'll see. I'm gonna set us up right now with what we've got right now. It's about 25 yards, it's not that big a deal. So 25 yards, we should have a tight group. So let's put this on paper and see how much we can squeeze out of this little 12.5-inch system. Okay, well, if you can see, hopefully you can see, this is my first shot. I realized I made a correction, went the wrong way, so I re-corrected, and then this is the next 5 shots, right? With the target moving around, doing its thing. I'm not upset with that. I'm really not. All right, so yeah, granted, depending on people's idea of what an acceptable accuracy standard is, I think that's pretty good. We got everything blowing around, especially with everything blowing around. Holy cow, my target's moving, stuff's blowing around. It's kind of hard to hold everything still. And I'm not even locked into the wow, got like tornadoes flying around here. I guess that's one way the trash gets picked up. These trash tornadoes, everybody leaves all their garbage out here. Anyway, don't garbage up your ranges. I bring my targets and I bring my targets home. It's not that difficult. I mean, it's one thing to leave a 2x4 or a piece of wood, but leaving garbage and trash, don't do that. It just gets under my skin. Anyway, very windy, terrible quality of video, but what I will say is I am excited and I think this is cool. Where is its place? Well, we'll talk about that later as we use this a little bit more and find a very good niche for it. But the overall idea of being able to take traditionally like a 16-inch barrel and get that accuracy of a 16-inch gun, or potentially even longer maybe, but shorten the overall system down and delete the whole buffer tube, that whole like 8 inches or whatever that is, if it's compact, or a foot long, if it's like extended all the way, it shortens everything up. So if you have the need to have the same accuracy, all right, and the same firepower, right? So like a 5.56 or a system, you could run it with 300 blackout. I could probably run this with a 9, maybe, but it'd have to have a, it'd have to be bufferless. I don't think I have one of those. I have one kind of like it. Ooh, that could be interesting. I do have one kind of like that. But then you're running a PCC, and we got a bunch of PCCs. But you have options. That's the cool thing about this. So, Foxtrot Mike upper, finally running right. We had it kind of messed up after a little bit. And the Reap Weaponry SCY with the Reap piece on the back here. Super cool. I think it's interesting. KGM suppressor. Cool little package. Overall, nice, short, compact, and accurate. There you go.